welcome to the study session of the Tuesday, June 6, 2023 Fountain Valley City Council meeting. Any public comments for this portion of the meeting?
We have no requests to speak.
Okay. So today's study session item is Employee Attraction and Engagement Committee presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Constantine and members of the City Council. My name is Mario Espindola, Senior Human Resource Analyst in Human Resources. I'd like to take a quick second to also introduce the engagement committee that's here that helped prepare most of the content that we're going to be presenting to you tonight. If you're in the engagement committee, can you please stand up? Thank you. And some of them are going to be helping me. They're going to be, a few of them are going to be transitioning in to present a part of the presentation, and they'll introduce themselves when it's their turn.
Thank you, yes.
So with that, tonight we'll be talking about the city's effort to attract and retain quality staff. And by looking at the best practices and trends. So this is kind of what we're going to be going over. So first, we're going to start off with the introduction, the strategic plan. We're going to talk about the national labor crisis and how that impacts the city of Fountain Valley and some of the strategies that were developed. And then we're going to open it up to question and answer, hoping to get a discussion with you and get your thoughts and feedback, and then we'll conclude. So let me start off by talking about the strategic plan. So our city manager and her executive team have developed a strategic plan goal to attract and retain quality staff. And it's really important to do this in the public sector, because in the public sector, we don't make widgets, we don't make trinkets, we provide public services. And the folks that are here, they're the ones delivering those services, which they're the commodity. So an investment in our employees is an investment in our community. The strategic plan set out 3 goals: increase staff engagement, team building, equity and inclusion, retention, and morale. Staff is to identify creative solutions and options to address the current market trends in the labor market that are having a negative impact on our ability to attract and retain employees. And lastly, to present these strategies and suggested improvements to City Council. Oh, oops. Okay. So I'm going to start by the talking about the national labor crisis. So why do we need these strategic efforts to be enhanced? Well, let me talk about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, something they put out. So the Great Resignation caused 50 million workers to quit their jobs and search for jobs that are going to improve their work-life balance, flexibility, increase compensation, and have a strong company culture. In addition to that, baby boomers are starting to reach retirement age. And as they retire, they're leaving with their institutional knowledge and their expertise, creating a drain brain in our different cities. In addition to that, affordable childcare. A lot of parents are starting to stay home because it costs so much money to be able to put your children into daycare. In addition to that, there is currently 9.6 million jobs available, but only 5.7 million workers available to fill them. There's also a public sector flight. A lot of public employees are leaving the public agencies and going to the private sector because there's more money to be made. And then there's also regional competition. So we're in Orange County, we have, 34 cities, something like that, and we're all competing for the same labor pool. So how does this impact the city of Fountain Valley? So here's some statistics to help illustrate the impacts that we're having. First, in fiscal year 21-22, we hired 60 employees and 55 separated. And this is a combination of full-time and part-time. So we're talking about 5 per month, something like that. In fiscal year 22-23, we hired 49 employees and 40 separated. Numbers are pretty close, right? It's also very difficult to hire for skilled labor, such as police officers, firefighter, paramedics, police dispatchers. And here's an example of that. In pre-pandemic, we ran a recruitment for a firefighter paramedic. In 16 days, we received 113 applications. We ran the same recruitment post-pandemic. In 45 days, we received 45 applications. So the numbers are very, very different. It's also very expensive to replace skilled and quality employees. Turnover costs can be as much as 150% of the annual cost or their annual salary. Recruitments that are kept open longer result in these positions being vacant for longer, which may cause current staff to fill in that gap. And as they're filling in that gap, it may cause an erosion of work-life balance, reduce morale, and it may exacerbate our employee retention efforts. So let me keep going on the some of the impacts that we're experiencing. So I talked about the regional competition. Well, the regional competition is also starting to enhance their compensation packages, their benefits, and they're starting to offer flexible work schedules. I'll provide you an example, and maybe we need to have our police officers cover their ears. The city of Alameda offers a $75,000 hiring incentive for lateral police officers. Part-time labor pools also very challenging to hire for. Costco, In-N-Out, they're offering $20 just to start. And also the pool radius, if we're trying to attract individuals from the IE or perhaps out of the area, fuel cost to get here is expensive, relocation cost is expensive. But our city manager and executive team have been actively addressing this issue. There's 4 categories here that I'm going to talk about. There's been an effort to address it through compensation and benefits, technology and marketing, employee health, well-being and morale, professional development, and succession planning. And in 2021, the city contracted with a vendor to complete a compensation study for all full-time classifications. The city council agreed to bring these classifications up to 50% of the market with a 12% cap of wages. There's also been a strong push to enhance technology and marketing. For example, we're leveraging technology. We're in the process of implementing Tyler Munis to enhance our processes, NeoGov Onboard to expedite the hiring process, strategic marketing. We're trying to develop these sizzle videos to be able to tell a story, who is Fountain Valley. In addition to that, we're making it easy for applicants to apply. We have QR codes, vanity links for them to just be able to come in and apply with these. In addition to that, we're leveraging third-party providers to expedite our hiring processes. There's also been a push for employee health, well-being, and morale. The city council has been very supportive in providing employees with tickets for city events such as the Summerfest, Crawfish Festival. And in addition to that, there's been team building exercises such as Free the Files, where employees got to engage in activities in the latter part of the day. Health and wellness programs. We'll be having a wellness fair in the latter part of the year. Employee recognition programs such as the Employee Service Awards. And lastly, I'll talk about professional development and succession planning. Most recently, we had a citywide training talking about the Fountain Valley Way for all employees. In addition to that, every department's focused on providing additional skills to their employees, sending them to conferences, so that we can start to have that future succession as we go through employees. So next, I'm going to talk about the engagement committee. So the strategic plan created an engagement committee to, one, study the labor shortage, two, assess how it's impacting the city of Fountain Valley, and develop strategies that we are going to present to you tonight. In addition to that, the engagement committee has been actively participating and engaging our staff, such as spearheading the Free the Files Day, social gatherings, and the quarterly new hire social events with the city manager and directors. So now I'm going to get to the meat and potatoes of the presentation. So here are going to be our recommendations. So in three subheadings: compensation and benefits, professional development and mentorship, Fountain Valley Way culture, well-being, and recognition. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya Nauerhays. And
Hi, thank you, Mario. Hi, I'm Tanya Nauerhays, HR Manager. So I'm going to go over this slide really quickly. So this slide basically encompasses recommendations collected by our engagement committee as well as our fellow employees. Some of these items, let me preface, do require or will require me to confer and further dialogue and council support. So let me get into that. So I want to start off with the first item, which is maintaining compensation at least 50% of the market. This will help us recruit and retain our current employees. Secondly would be the educational incentives for obtaining a bachelor's and master's degree. Thirdly, childcare, housing, rental, technology, auto, cell phone, toll road stipends. As Mario had indicated, that childcare is very expensive, so employees are looking for some sort of subsidy. Housing assistance, we've talked about that a little bit too. Another hot item is our flexible work schedule. It's not only a conversation in Fountain Valley, but also throughout our agencies in Orange County. That would be an option of perhaps a remote work schedule, hybrid schedule. So it could be something like 2 days working from home, working 2 days in the office. Consideration of a 410 schedule for some work-life balance, and then Fire had indicated some fire suppression 4896 schedule. Increase to health insurance allowances. We're hearing that CalPERS rates will be going up next year, and so increasing that allowance for employees would be beneficial and helpful. Wellness, gym membership incentives, comprehensive wellness programs for public safety employees. We could partner with a hospital who could help us provide some non-invasive body scans for employees, EKG screenings, with minimal to no cost to our employees. Scholarship programs for family members. We had a committee member indicate that their family member applied for a city scholarship and they were able to receive a $500 scholarship towards books. So I thought that was really cool for us to hear. Cybersecurity protection for employees. Employees had talked about identity theft being an issue out there, so maybe some sort of benefit for our employees related to that. Department technology requests. So we received a lot of requests in regards to what would be helpful for employees to do their jobs better. And we thought of just kind of bringing up like iPads and cell phones. One department talked about a drone program as well. Increased employee life insurance and long-term disability benefit. And then longevity bonuses for full-time employees. There's certain units that do have it, so employees are looking to see if we could provide that benefit to seek employees who are really experienced to come into our agency as well. Thank you for your time. I'll turn it over to Jenny.
Hello, thank you. I'm Jenny Worsham, Community Services Manager. So I'm going to talk to you about professional development, another topic that has come up throughout all of the departments. Some of the things that we think we can do are professional development programs. So creation of programs like leadership development or supervisor academies through partnerships with external sources like California State University Fullerton and University of California Irvine, who both offer these type of programs, or anyone that we could partner with to be able to offer something like this that we don't already do. Also enhancing current tuition reimbursement program to include certificates, licenses things like that that would be beneficial to specific positions. And this was requested also by multiple departments to advance the overall knowledge of the staff. Also, creation of an in-house professional development program, which could include mentorship programs, training to develop hard and soft skills, leadership abilities, and other opportunities to encourage members of our team to step outside their comfort zone and learn new things that can help them in their everyday jobs. And then lastly, leveraging technology to manage our workforce. Some examples including using NeoGov Perform for performance appraisals, offering Munis hands-on training, training in diversity, equity, inclusion, and unconscious bias. And those are just to name a few of the things we could do to leverage that technology to manage our workforce. So overall, we believe that more opportunities for professional development, the better. They're just going to make us better and help us grow as professionals, continuing to, which would help us overall continue to build an amazing Fountain Valley team. So thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Griselda.
Good evening. My name is Griselda Garcia, and I'm the Police Support Services Manager. In addition to everything else, for us moving forward with the Fountain Valley Way culture and well-being, for our employees, we focused on a few key points. One of them was to enhance employee recognition programs. Under that would be employee team recognition programming, peer-to-peer recognition, Mayor's Award, and the City Manager Award of Excellence. Then we also focused on the enhancing of the team building programs, such as departmental team building retreats, team building seminars, and enhancing programs to align with the city's mission, vision, and values by increasing staffing levels. Other suggestions brought up by city employees to enhance well-being were relaxed dress codes, visible tattoos, uniforms for some divisions such as IT, code enforcement, inspectors, etc., a cafeteria food service, a therapy dog, and some specific for police department would be having maybe a quiet room, a bunk room due to court standbys, as well as doing an uplift to the department as in the lobby, briefing, and break rooms. I think that these are all great points to focus on for the well-being of the employees of Fountain Valley. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have a question for you. The first sentence you said, to continue the way culture. What does that mean?
The what? The Fountain Valley Way?
Oh, I thought I heard something else. That's right.
The Fountain Valley.
Okay, I want to make sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I know we just threw a lot of information out at you. You probably have a lot of questions like, how much is it going to cost, right? So, and we want to try to address those questions, and I hope you have questions. So before we get there, I want to read this statement. The City of Fountain Valley provides services to its community. Investing in our employees is an investment to the community. And I do believe that our employees are a commodity because we provide services. So we have 3 recommendations to City Council to consider. 1, City Council to direct staff to further evaluate items that may be of interest to you and bring back specific costs, contracts, and specific details to the City Council. Number 2, City Council to direct staff to bring certain items back for immediate consideration and vote. And number 3, City Council to direct City Manager to implement certain items that do not require a meet and confer or City Council vote. And with that, I will go ahead and get to the last slide, which is my hot seat, your questions, and hopefully my answers.
You were all provided with an executive summary. It's kind of just a snapshot of what we just discussed. You could see for the compensation and benefits, it's not very specific. We just kind of threw some items in there just for review, basically. So you could take some time to take a look at that, but it's just something for you to take back with you and kind of review when you have some time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I don't know who am I addressing this to.
Sorry, I'm back.
No problem. So, yeah, I think we would all agree that, the best asset and the greatest asset that the city of Fountain Valley has is our employees. And we strongly feel that way. I would like to see not just the cost of some of these items, but also the ranking. What's important? I mean, not everything is equally as important, I wouldn't think. So if maybe, you color coded some, this is, green is like what we really want, and yellow is next important, and red is, nice to have, but not as critical. And then what we could do is multiply that by the importance by the cost, and kind of come up with some ways of, at least getting, if we can't get everything, I wish we could do everything, but if we can't do everything, then, have some kind of criteria. Because I'd hate for us to decide what's important for you, There's certain things on here that might be, like I said, just a nice to have, and if we gave you just that versus stuff that's really important, that may not be the best thing. So, maybe that's a request too, to come back with what's important,
Yes, sir.
a rating.
Sure.
Well, thank you. I'd like to, I'm really impressed with this presentation. I'd like to thank all the members of the committee that sort of putting your time and a lot of effort into this. And so I think you came up with a lot of great ideas and recommendations. And I don't really have any things that you prepared to comment on right now, but I look forward to reviewing it in more detail. And I'd like to get a copy of the full presentation as well.
Got it.
Sure.
Yeah, I would go ahead and elaborate that as well. And I agree that, they say that whether it's, publicly or private organizations, they say happy staff, will transition that to the customer service. So we definitely need our staff to be, satisfied with what we can offer as a city, and to retain, the good staff for the city. And definitely that needs to be done. Thank you.
I love this. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm just speechless, and I look forward to seeing more information on it. And thank you for everyone who participated. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Mario. Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, and
Sure, Meg.
oh, go ahead. Sorry. Just to make sure I got my notes right. So we're going to look at cost on certain of these items. Just to get clarity on the cost, is there any specific items you want to explore further so we can get specific cost on those items?
I would say it comes back down to the ranking. You tell us what's the most important to
Okay.
you. We don't want to guess.
Okay.
And then we'll figure out, and then when you come back with that ranking with what the cost is, then we'll do our best to figure out how do we make that happen.
Okay. Got it. Ranking, and then copy of the PowerPoint presentation.
Maggie?
If I may add, based on Mayor Pro Tem statement in regards to prioritize, I think it would be good for us to go ahead and highlight those colors and identify what is priority for us, and communicate that in the city council communicator, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you again, everyone. Thank you. I have it, yes. Okay, so at 6 o'clock, we are going now into our open session of the Tuesday, June 6, 2023 Fountain Valley City Council meeting. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I see a lot of scouts in the audience, and hopefully we have a lot of viewers at home, too. Tonight's invocation is going to be by Pastor Godfrey Hom with the First Chinese Baptist Church here in Fountain Valley. The salute to the flag will be by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis.
Thank you, Mayor Constantine and council members, for inviting me to give the invocation. Invite everyone to join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessing of our gathering here today. Thank you for the blessing of a city council who cares for us and seeks our welfare. Thank you for the blessing of living and working here in a wonderful city a nice place to live, as we call Fountain Valley. In your word, you told your people a long time ago that when they entered and settled down and built fine homes and established a nice place to live, you told your people to not forget you. You said in your word, when you eat and are full and build beautiful houses to live in, and your hands and your herds and your flocks grow large, your silver and gold multiply, and everything else you have increases. Be careful that your heart doesn't become proud and you forget the Lord your God. O Lord, we are not proud and we have not forgotten you. We acknowledge that everything, all the blessings we have received and enjoy here in Fountain Valley have come from your hands. And remember, the greatest blessing of all is that you love us. You gave yourself for us, and you call us your very own. So, Lord, bless the proceedings this evening. Give wisdom, grace, and patience to our city leaders and everyone here. I pray all this in Jesus' wonderful name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
A couple of weekends, or a week ago Monday, was Memorial Day, and it was a time that a lot of people spent with their families in their backyards and barbecues. But the real meaning of that day was the people who made the ultimate sacrifice in protecting our great nation. And when we salute the flag tonight, I ask that do it with gusto and do it in honor of those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And I ask you that you pledge allegiance to our flag in honor of all those that made the ultimate sacrifice. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Mayor, can I
Yes.
do the closed session
Oh,
announcement?
sure.
Council met on 3 items in closed session. Item number 1 was approved 5-0. Items number 2 and 3, there was no reportable action.
Thank you. City Council Successor Agency Housing Authority roll call.
Councilmember Bui?
Here.
Councilmember Cunneen?
Here.
Councilmember Harper? Mayor Pro Tem Vice Chair Grandis?
Here.
Mayor Chair Constantine?
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Do we have any supplemental communications?
We have two in regard. One is in regards to item number 7. It's a full copy of the resolution attachment. I understand parts of the resolution were cut off, so
Sure.
it's complete. And item 16 is just a corrected version of the 6-month strategic plan. That is all.
Sure, thank you. Time for our city manager update. Maggie?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to inform the community that we have Fountain Valley summer camp and classes are now open for all summer camps and classes. Make sure to look at the FV Kid Academy with the junior firefighter and junior police camp, which are partnered with our local Fountain Valley heroes. You can register online at fountainvalley.org/recreation. This coming Thursday, we have a general plan advisory committee from 6 to 8 p.m. in the council chamber here at 10200 Slater Avenue. We have a car show at Fountain Valley Sports Park this Saturday, June 10th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have approximately 300 classic cars and trucks. As you know, Fountain Valley Summer Fest is right around the corner from June 15th through the 18th. That is next Thursday. So get your tickets today at summerfestfv.com. This is, this is Fountain Valley Way to kick off the summer that is coordinated by the people for the people. The event will be at Fountain Valley Sports Park, 16400 Brookhurst Street. You enter off of Brookhurst and Hyle. And the schedule is Thursday, June 15th from 5 to 11 p.m., Friday, June 16th from 5 to 11 with fireworks show. Saturday, June 17th from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m., there will be a new added drone lighting show. And Sunday, June 18th from noon to 8 p.m. We also have a Scene Expo on June 28th from 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon at the Founders Village, corner of Talbot and Bouchard. City Hall will be closed this Thursday, June 8th from 8:45 a.m. to 12 noon for Youth in Government Day for our third graders at Cox and Gisler Elementary School. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, so for the mayor's update, just want to reference our city seal. And next week, on Tuesday, June 13th, we're going to be in our 66th year of incorporation for our city. And at the same time, next Thursday, June 15th at 8 o'clock in the morning is the next mayor's breakfast. It is going to be at 11190 Warner Avenue, Suite 214. And that's just off of Mount Hope and Warner. So you'll want to pass Palm Island as you're driving down Mount Hope. And the building is on the right-hand side. It's kind of rustish in color, and you'll go to the second floor. The building says Fountain Valley Surgery Center. And the presentation for that breakfast will be a representative from the Orange County District Attorney's Office will give us an update on the fentanyl crisis here in Orange County. And let's see here. Time for presentations. We have the OC 405 update from OCTA, Jeff Mills, Program Manager, but you're Timo. Okay.
Let me see, how do I, is it on? Well, I can speak loud.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. Tonight, we have some, we've had presentations over the years. This is a project that's 20 years in the making, where we've seen the last 7 years of construction. And I'm really proud tonight to have our OCTA partners who've worked with us for over 20 years, with City Fountain Valley, with the support of the City Council over the years, with all of our Fountain Valley team, our fire team, our police team, our finance team, our public works team, and many others to get us to here. And we have some good news on, we're kind of on the tail end. And with that, I have Jeff Mills, who's and the OCTA team who've been a great partner, and here to talk about some of the great things that are coming. With that, Jeff. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Timo, and good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Again, my name's Jeff Mills. I'm the Senior Program Manager for the Orange County Transportation Authority for the I-405 Improvement Project, and joining me to present the last slide or two is Chris Buckley from our Public Outreach team. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, first and foremost, and we will be providing an update regarding the project as a whole, but more specifically what's happening in the City of Fountain Valley. I'd also like to thank city staff, including Maggie and Timo and many others, for working closely with OCTA as we continue to work hard to get this project completed while minimizing impacts to the city's businesses and residences. I'll start with a little bit of background on slide 2. As shown on the left, the project limits are from approximately State Route 73 in Costa Mesa up to I-605 in the city of Seal Beach, a length of approximately 16 miles. And as shown on the right, one regular general purpose lane will be added in each direction of the 405, consistent with Measure M as depicted in yellow. And an additional lane will be added in each direction that will combine with the existing carpool lane to provide dual express lanes from State Route 73 to I-605 as depicted in green. There are also a significant number of improvements to the local streets that go up and over the freeway. Each of the local streets is being rebuilt to its ultimate width and will include space for bike lanes and sidewalks on both sides that will better accommodate other modes of transportation such as bikes and pedestrians. For instance, an extra lane in each direction is being added to the new bridges at Ward, Talbert, and Magnolia. The overall cost of the project is a little over $2 billion. This design-build project is approximately 95% complete from both an earned value and an overall schedule standpoint. We're over 95% complete with the wall construction, the ramp reconstructions, and the freeway paving operations. For instance, we had 58 on and off ramps that were reconstructed from asphalt to concrete, so they last longer, less maintenance, and we have one left in the city of Huntington Beach. As of today, 11 of the 18 bridge replacements are complete and fully open to traffic, and all the remaining bridges are under construction. I'll have a little bit more detail about that as we go further. Slide 3, shown here, shows in green the 11 bridge replacements that are complete. Those are the bridges that go up and over the freeway that had to be completely replaced, and also the bridges in orange that are still under construction. And now, discussing a little more specifically within the city, slide 4 shows the 4 bridges in Fountain Valley that are complete and open to traffic, and those are at Talbert, Slater, Bouchard, and Magnolia. Slide 5 shows some of the landscaping that has been installed on the project. These photos are actually at Slater Avenue and generally represent the type of landscaping that's going to be included at the new bridges and at some of the interchange locations, such as Brookhurst and Magnolia. Slide 6 reflects construction progress on the new Warner Bridge. The photo on the left is from when the contractor was placing the concrete bridge deck, and the photo on the right is from a drone and shows the improvements from above. Slide 7 reflects construction progress on the new Brookhurst Bridge. This photo is a little bit dated, but shows the big picture as well, to the improvements to Brookhurst itself, the on and off ramps, and the improvements on the freeway, on the outsides of the freeway also. Slide 8 shows construction of the new Ward Bridge. The Ward Bridge has had several challenges associated with it during construction, particularly on the roadway approaches on both sides. We do know there's some frustrations for how long it's taken to get this bridge done. Some of those challenges included some underground utility relocations, a very wet winter and spring, at least for California standards, and more recently some private property encroaching on the city right-of-way that we're working around right now. However, that being said, OCTA and the city are working very hard to get this bridge open as soon as possible. And slide 9 reflects construction of the widened freeway bridge over the Santa Ana River in Euclid Ellis. Euclid Ellis is a little bit unique in that it goes under the freeway, unlike all of the other local streets that go over the freeway. The drone photo on the left is again a little bit dated, but as you can see, the widened bridge kind of in white on both sides gives you a sense of the widening on the freeway to provide additional capacity. And so the freeway bridge widening is now complete. What I wanted to mention is shown kind of on the right. We are still finishing up the seismic retrofit of the existing bridge that we tied into. That includes adding those casings that are shown to the existing columns, which will help strengthen them against future earthquakes and other seismic activities. So this is kind of a key slide here, provides a summary of the status of each of the bridges under construction within the city. As I mentioned earlier, the Magnolia, Bouchard, Slater, and Talbert bridges are all complete and open to traffic. The Warner Bridge is anticipated to be complete next month in July. The Brookhurst Bridge is anticipated to be complete later this month at the end of June. The Ward Bridge is anticipated to be complete in the August-September timeframe. And lastly, the Freeway Bridge seismic retrofit work that's affecting Euclid and Ellis currently is anticipated to be complete in August. So in summary, and the good news is we do see a light at the end of the tunnel on this bridge construction. We do expect to be complete with all of the bridges in Fountain Valley by September. At this time, Chris Buckley is going to talk a little bit more about some of the public outreach activities going on with the community.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Jeff. Good evening, Mayor Constantine and members of the council. The first thing I want to say is thank you and the community for their patience. We realize that this is a long time to deal with construction. Temo mentioned 7 years. I think it might be a little longer than we're at 6 and change, but we're coming up. We're into the 7th year here, and it's a lot, so we understand that. One of the things that we're trying to do in our communications is talk about the benefits. We've got something called a Faster Future newsletter. We started that on a quarterly basis earlier this year, and we've also translated it into Spanish and Vietnamese to ensure we're getting as far out in the community as possible. The purpose of the newsletter is to talk about the improvements that have gone on, talk about the status of the bridges, and talk about the benefits of the project overall, to the region and then specific to the cities. Many of the people who may be watching or in the audience, and many of you, of course, have signed up for our weekly news alerts. We have our construction alerts that go out on a regular basis every Friday. And in addition, we have a special alerts that might go out depending on what the activity is, things like that. So we really encourage people to sign up. On the next slide, I'll be able to share information about how to do that. We have our closure and detour list. We have that primarily available in two ways. One is through Waze. So we feed all of our information directly to Waze, which is a real benefit, and Google picks that up as well. And then we also have a list online, a PDF of all the closures day by day. We update that. It's a 7-day look ahead, and we update that every single day because that evolves. So it's an easy way to get a sense of what's happening. It is organized both by a date and by city, so you can see very clearly what's happening in your local community. We have our social media. We have our project website. We've revamped the project website in the last year or so. It's really an easily accessible tool to find out both what's happening, current construction, maybe take a look back at some of our neighborhood meetings that we've held to get information about specific bridges, things like that. The diverse and disadvantaged communities. So one of the things we're really trying to do as we continue through the end of the project is make sure we don't forget anybody. We're reaching out and talking to the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We're going to events throughout the area with community-based organizations, really trying to make sure that we stick with it through the end of this, because we understand people are a little fatigued by the construction, but we really want to make sure that they know what's happening out in the community. So this is the project contact information. You can find us at 405 Improvement on all the social media accounts. We've got our email address there, 405project@octa.net, our helplines, and then our project website. I should note that between all of these methods, all of these ways to contact us, we typically average about 125 inquiries a month throughout the corridor. Primarily, though, in the main cities here between Westminster and Costa Mesa. And that work takes a little bit, right? It's not just one communication, right? So 125 is actually closer to about 400 instances of communication back and forth because we're coordinating with the technical team. We may have to coordinate with the constituent to get better information, more information about what the question is, things like that. So we are out there plugging away, but we are happy for you and your residents to let us know what's going on, advise us if they see a maintenance issue, graffiti, something like that on there, or ask about how a bridge was designed, why it was designed the way it was, etc. We're here to answer any and all questions. That's it for us, but we're happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. And thank you, Chris, for being very proactive whenever I message you. I really appreciate that.
Certainly.
This project is just gorgeous. I think it's amazing, and I've just been completely excited the whole time. And do we have any comments by council members? Sure.
Thanks, Chris and Jeff, for attending tonight and giving us and the residents an update. I think the project overall has gone great. There was a lot of concern about how it was going to impact traffic in the city, and working with our Public Works department, I think the traffic impact is really a lot less than people expected. So I appreciate you working with the city to make that happen. Also, improving some utilities that went under the freeway before and now are located in the bridges. We're able to make that adjustment. And unfortunately, I think when was the 405 originally built? The 60s or 60s. Yeah. So when you go and dig up something that old, there's things you don't expect to find, and found a few of that, and so it's understandable that there have been some challenges along the way, but we're right at the finish line and looking forward to that those bridges opening. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to echo what Councilmember Harper mentioned, and also just express gratitude on a few levels. One, thank you to OCTA Director Harper, who serves with us, and also with you all at OCTA. I think we're all ready to drive these amazing new systems and to enjoy the benefits it's going to bring to our communities. Having experience working in other counties that do projects on this scale, believe me, OCTA is the very best at what they do. This is amazing on so many levels. The turnaround, the timing, the teamwork is just phenomenal. And I just want to lastly say thank you to both you, Jeff, and Chris. You've been ambassadors for this project for all of the communities along the corridor, and I'm just so appreciative. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
So I actually have a couple questions. So Magnolia, the on and off ramp, I mean, everything's open, but it's not done. When do we expect that to be cleaned up and ready to go and complete?
So the overall project is anticipated to be complete, and so I should say substantially complete, which means all lanes are open, everything's cleaned up by the end of this year, by the end of 2023. So we're looking at the last quarter of 2023 to be substantially complete, and then we'll be doing some miscellaneous work such as landscaping into the first half of 2024. But specific to your question, it will be later, I would say, this fall.
Okay. And then maybe I don't understand where everything's going to end up, but is there when you're traveling north on the 405 and want to get off Magnolia and go south, how do you go south now? Because when you get off on Magnolia, you're forced to go to the north. How do you go south?
At Magnolia,
there's a way. I could be wrong, but
I'd have to double check. My recollection was, I know there is a way. I apologize. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I will get it to
maybe
you
it's not
and
done
send
yet.
it through Maggie
Okay.
so that you have that information.
Yeah, I believe the idea is to get off at Warner.
Get off at Warner, yeah.
Which just hasn't opened yet. Okay.
Right.
So eventually, and then when you get off at Warner, you're going to have to cut all the way across to go south on Magnolia. Okay.
Yeah, there will be a signal there, but that's correct. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the ramps will not be the way they are today.
There'll be a signalized intersection
Gotcha.
there.
Okay, that
You'll be
makes
able to
more
left
sense
or right
now.
on.
I couldn't figure it out, but so the HOV lanes are eventually going away, but I see signs that say that you can use the toll roads if you have an HOV sticker. How long will that last?
Well, there's a couple of components to that. For instance, EVs or electric vehicles are designated by the California legislature to be able to ride free or for a discount in there. Currently, it's looking like they'll ride free in there, but there's a sunset date on that legislation. What's happened over time is they've extended that sunset date. And then for HOVs in general, how our tolling policy is presented at this point, and we'll be taking it to our board this summer to finalize, is that for the first 3.5 years, if you have 2 people in your car, it'll be free during non-peak hours, but during those peak hours, you would be charged as would a single driver. After 3.5 years, the traffic is expected to be such that you would have to be 3 or more drivers in your vehicle to ride for free.
Okay. Let's see. You talked about the Ward delays. We have a lot of very unhappy people about Ward because that one has been down the longest. And quite candidly, there needs to be, I mean, I'm glad we got the update today, but I think there needs to be maybe more communications on, why it looks like there's no work being done there. There's no work being done there, but you explain why. It's, the land dispute, I guess, with the...
Kind of behind the scenes, but we need to communicate that better.
Yeah, I would think. Brookhurst. So right now that's a staging area by the Black Angus shopping center. You have that big land. What's going to happen to that land there?
So near the Black Angus, where that staging area is, once we complete the project, we'll work with our partners at the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, who owns that land. Although OCTA is administering this project, we'll be essentially giving it to Caltrans at the end. So we'll work with them to see In that specific location, is there any drainage feature, or do they want to sell that as excess land? And then there is a process to sell excess land if it's not needed for what Caltrans needs to do to operate and maintain the freeway.
I'm sure the city would be very interested in talking to you about that.
Okay.
And I think that's all my, and just confirming too, I know we've talked about, I know the answer to this one, but the frustration level for those of us in Fountain Valley who have, I'd say, suffered the most when we, dissect our city, still when you head north from the south, from the 73, you cannot use the toll roads if you live in Fountain Valley, because the off-ramp is Magnolia, I think, which means by the time you get over, you're at Beach Boulevard. You can get on and head north, but that's been a big frustration level for us, and I don't think anything can be done. But, for the town that suffered, I know we all did, but, we really did. And to not really be able to reap the benefits of it, hopefully the other lanes are supposed to be clearer, I get that, but this whole thing has been frustrating for us. So, but I appreciate you being here, so thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bui.
Well, I just want to echo the appreciation and the gratitude that 405 project has come forth with it. Given the entire project, it's to me, it looked like Fountain Valley got the most bridge up, right? Of all the cities, Fountain Valley got the most bridge up and running. I mean, it's a lot of work, so I want to appreciate that. You guys, at least you guys made our residents or community first to have the bridge up. So I want to appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Maggie?
Yes, Maggie.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and show our appreciation as well as our elected official and thank OCTA staff, including the board of directors at OCTA. It has been a process, and I think we appreciate when we have concern. OCTA staff was able to step up and work with our public works staff, and we also want to thank our public works staff for working closely with OCTA to ensure our citizens' issue are being addressed. And I want to thank the community for your patience during this process. There's a lot of money been invested in this project, and as a community, we're looking forward to get back a little bit to normalcy, and hopefully there's a big improvement after all the bridges are opened up. And so we wanted to thank you for the investment that you have put in our community too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris and Jeff. We really appreciate it, and I feel that this has been going amazing. Yeah, we've had some hiccups and some delays, and you know what? We're getting through it, and we're almost to the end, and thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Sure. Okay, now I'm going to do a proclamation recognizing the month of June as Pride Month here in the city of Fountain Valley. I have the proclamation. Whereas the city of Fountain Valley recognizes and proclaims the month of June 2023 as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ Pride Month throughout the city of Fountain Valley, and whereas all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, LGBTQ individuals have had immeasurable impact to the cultural, civic, and economic successes of our country, and whereas the city of Fountain Valley is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQ people in our diverse community, and whereas while society at large increasingly supports LGBTQ equality, it is essential to acknowledge that the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice, and whereas this nation was founded on the principle that every individual has infinite dignity and worth, and the city of Fountain Valley calls upon the people of this municipality to embrace this principle and work to eliminate prejudice everywhere it exists, and whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for the LGBTQ community, and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Kim Constantine, Mayor of the City of Fountain Valley and the City Council hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 as Pride Month in support of the LGBTQ community. And we will have this on display at City Hall, as we have for the past few years. Okay, so, public comments. Persons wishing to speak on agenda items are requested to identify themselves by completing a blue speaker card indicating the item they want to address, and to give the card to the city clerk prior to the public comment period. Each person will be given up to 3 minutes to speak on the entire consent calendar, 3 minutes to speak on each item pulled from the consent calendar, and 3 minutes to speak on any agendized items not appearing on the consent calendar. Consent calendar items 1 through 6 will be approved simultaneously with one motion unless separate action and/or discussion is requested. Do we have anyone wanting to pull anything?
Madam Mayor, we do have 3 requests to speak on non-agendized items.
Okay,
First speaker is Grant Gerhardt.
sure.
Okay, so this is my first time that I've ever done this, so bear with me here. But my name's Grant Gerhardt. I'm with Integrated Realty Group. I own a property management company, and my client, Kelly Tang, hired me earlier this year to rent out her house. We call it midterm or month to month. I included the property address. I've sent an email to Colin and Alex, but I messed up. I listed the property month to month, which in real estate, typically a month is 30 days. So unbeknownst to me, the city of Fountain Valley, you guys passed some rules earlier this year that you guys consider 30 days or less to be short-term rental. My client doesn't live at the property. You guys have been sending letters to her, and we fast forward, she's been fined $9,500. So I'm standing here trying to figure something out to apologize, because ultimately it was my mistake, and offer community service or something to actually help the community, because, you know, we weren't trying to pull a fast one. I just made a huge mistake. So that's it.
Okay, Madam, and to address the speaker, he has reached out to me, and I've spoken with the gentleman. Because this is an unscheduled matter, the council can't have an impromptu discussion with you. It's because of the Brown Act. The reason is not because they don't want to talk to you. It's because somebody else might have interest in this subject. So if there's a substantive discussion and they express their opinion, somebody else from the audience or from the public would say, wait a second, you should have told me you were going to talk about that. I would have come to and joined the discussion. So I think if council's okay with it, the best thing is to maybe have myself and the planning director, the community development director, meet with you after the meeting.
Sure.
To talk about this further and see if we can get you a better resolution.
All right, appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Katie Wright.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members and staff. And a reminder to everyone to please silence their phones or put them on Do Not Disturb. I'll try and be brief. I looked up term limits. Somebody put a bug in my ear about something earlier today. And my understanding of our term limits in Fountain Valley apparently was erroneous, and I thought I had studied this. But the general description of a term limit is it's a legal restriction that limits the number of terms a person may serve in a particular elected office. There are 2 different types of term limits. This was something that I thought I had studied. Sometimes there's an absolute limit on the number of terms a person can serve, while in other cases, the restrictions are merely on the number of consecutive terms. That's what I thought I understood. And I thought that after 3 terms, you're out, means 3 terms, you're out, you don't get to come back. Well, as it happens, that's an erroneous assumption on my part. And anyone who's already done 3 terms and had to step down can come back and do, according to what I understand, which could be wrong, another 3 consecutive terms. and then have to step out and then come back and do another 3 consecutive terms. If they choose to run that many times in their life, it could go on ad infinitum. I know that there was a vote on term limits for Fountain Valley. I know that the vote was determined to be not the absolute term limits. I know for a fact that my mother-in-law, while she was living and voting here, thought it was absolute term limits and was surprised to find out that what she voted for was not what wound up being what she thought she voted for. My consideration is, I know that we do have an election coming up soon, and my consideration is, how does one get an initiative on the next ballot to possibly either, if one believes that they should be absolute term limits, have it switched over to absolute term limits, like a whole separate initiative, or if my assumption or belief or preference is not in the majority and everyone wants to keep it this way, you know, majority rules, I'm fine with that. But I think it was handled disingenuously the last time. I think a lot of people did not know the difference, and I'm a little concerned with that. So I'm almost out of time. Colin, is there an address, an email address, that if anyone is confused, that they can contact City Hall and find out exactly what the rules are?
Well, the term limits provision is relatively short. It's in the municipal code. That's in Title II. Otherwise, elections questions are usually directed to the elections official, who is Rick Miller. And questions about the initiative, I'm sure you can discuss with the Orange County Registrar of Voters.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
George Berg.
Good evening, Mayor Constantine, council members. My name is George Berg. I've lived in the community, I don't know, 40 years. I started teaching in Fountain Valley in '73, and I've stayed in the community for a long time. I have been 23 years at the Harper Park area. Glenn Grandis was my neighbor before he moved closer here. And I have some concerns, but my concerns about the neighborhood, they actually come up, it looks like, on further in the budget. It's about the park, maintenance of the park, and it's about street sweeping, what's going on with street sweeping. So those are 2 areas that are coming up for a vote, I think, later. Do I talk then, or can I do it now? I guess I'll do it now.
If it's coming up for a vote later and you want to talk right before the item's discussed, that's a good time to do it. Otherwise, you have the floor for...
Okay, I'll try to do it. I have 3 things I want to talk about then. Okay. Number one, 7 years ago, the park has started a downward spiral. It started with the gophers that started taking over the park, and they were never controlled. The gopher people we paid for would come in and control about half to maybe 2/3 of the gophers. They'd leave them, they'd repopulate, and they have destroyed the whole area underneath the park. When I got there, kids were using the park to play baseball, I don't know, many different activities, soccer, volleyball, pee-wee baseball would practice there. You can't do that now. It's a hazard. If people went and played there, they'd end up twisting a knee, hurting an ankle, because it's all rutted, holes, I'd say half the grass is left. Everything else is dirt and weeds. Now, the other part of the park, which is nicer, is now starting to get the same gophers, and it's starting to destroy the grass. Now, if Mayor Pro Tem Grandis was still there, he'd be looking out for the park. But I don't see anybody that's followed through and tried to maintain our park. I looked up and I didn't see any mission statement on the parks. Is there a mission statement for our parks? If not, the mission statement should state a safe and reliable place where city members can go and enjoy their time and recreate in this area. And it's not that way. And who's ever been responsible for that has really slipped, and we've lost out. And I know we pay tax money to keep this stuff going and be nice, but it's just not happening. And I'm very disappointed in the condition of the park, and the good part of the park is starting now to get destroyed. Because when dirt comes in from the Gophers, weeds take place on top of the dirt. And it's a mess.
Mr. Berg, your time is up.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so last thing, just across Garfield, there's a park, a Huntington Beach Park, that's beautiful, that everyone plays on. And we can't have that in Fountain Valley. I don't understand it. The next thing, do I get 3 minutes on the street sweeping?
If you want to speak on another item, just go ahead and fill out a speaker card and yeah.
Oh, I put three different things down.
Yeah, this was for a non-agenda type. Which you want to speak on the street sweeping?
Yeah.
I'll call you up when that item comes up.
Okay, when you're going to vote before you.
Before they vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so does anybody want to pull any items 1 through 6?
Madam Mayor, if I could request a council member pull item number 6, we need to add 2 positions to the conflict of interest code.
Okay. Trying to get there.
I'll pull number 6.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I need to recuse myself from number 3, so I don't know if I need to leave. But
You do not need to leave. You're recusing yourself because you have a conflict of interest. If you announce a conflict of interest, you can remain at the dais as long as the item is not pulled and it's on the consent calendar.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I recommend that you inform of what type of conflict it is.
Okay, I'm recusing us. I live within 500 feet of the property.
Okay. Okay, so we're dealing with items 1, 2, and 4, and 5.
I believe 3 is on the agenda for.
Right, I'm sorry.
Yes,
one
items 1 through 5.
Right, 1 through 5. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on.
I have a motion by Councilmember Bui and a second by Councilmember Cunneen. Please vote. Items 1 through 5 pass. I'm sorry. Items 1, 2, 4, and 5 pass 5-0. Item 3 passes 4-0 with Councilmember Harper recusing himself.
Okay, so item number 6, resolution amending the conflict of interest code of the City of Fountain Valley by amending designated positions and rescinding previous resolutions inconsistent therewith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No substantive discussion. The conflict of interest code lists positions that aren't listed by statute of persons who have to fill out 700 forms. In reviewing the code presented, we noticed that the finance manager and the human resources manager positions should be added, so we're recommending council add those 2 positions.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to approve with the amended items.
I have a motion by Councilmember Bui, second by Mayor Constantine. Please vote. Hold on. Item 6 passes 5-0.
Okay. Item number 7 is a public hearing, fiscal year 2023-2024, annual operating budget and capital improvement program, GAN appropriations limit, and property rental terms and charges for administrative services for the water and sewer utilities. Presentation by Ryan Smith, our finance director.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item for your consideration is adoption of the fiscal year 23-24 annual budget and capital improvement plan. So kind of an overview of where we're at. We had a budget workshop on May 16th that we introduced a draft budget. And tonight we're bringing a proposed budget for your consideration. So the total city resources or revenues in this budget total $130.7 million. The total city expenditures are $144.7 million, creating a net impact of a negative $14 million. And this impact is $9.15 million is in the general fund, $2.7 million is in special revenue funds, and $2.7 million is amongst the enterprise funds. The projected ending fund balance amongst all funds at the end of fiscal year 24 is projected to be $132 million. So to kind of look more into the general fund revenues, general fund revenues are projected at $76.9 million in fiscal year 24. This is an increase of $403,000 over the current year revised budget. This also represents an increase of $495,000 versus that draft budget that we brought 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago to council. The changes in this budget compared to that draft include $450,000 for expected OC 405 reimbursements that will go into the next year, and $45,000 for county AB 69 reimbursements for the purchase of police forensic equipment. The proposed budget includes increases in property tax, Measure HH tax, investment interest, and fire revenue. We also have reductions in 115 trust interest, state grants, engineering revenue, and other revenues. Here we've got a couple of charts that kind of display the general fund revenues that shows the three main sources of our revenues of property tax, sales tax, and Measure HH. And we also have a chart that shows the last 10 years of revenues in the city, with the Measure HH coming on board in about 2016-17 that kind of started the large increases. General fund expenditures are projected at $72.47 million in fiscal year 24. This is an increase of $2.6 million versus the prior year or the current year revised budget. It also represents an increase of $70,000 from the draft budget that was brought to council in May. These increases include a hazard mitigation plan for $25,000 and the aforementioned $45,000 for the purchase of that police forensic equipment. Overall, there's increases in administration, police, and fire departments, and we have some savings in the transfers out. Kind of looking at the general fund from a visual look at it, the three main areas that we look at are the personnel expenditures, which make up about half of the general fund expenditures, and then internal service allocations and operating expenditures make up the other half. We also have a chart that shows the total general fund operations for the last 10 years in the red, and the capital expenditures in the orange. General fund personnel expenditures increased $2.4 million in the current year, and this includes the final year of the compensation study increases and includes all MOU increases, and is fully staffed at 252.25 FTEs. That includes proposal for one additional FTE in the community development department. So a review of the general fund. Revenue is projected at $76.9 million, operating expenses at $72.47 million. That creates a general operating surplus of $4.4 million. Once we add in the general fund capital expenditures and internal service fund transfers of $13.6 million, we get a net impact to the general fund balance of negative $9.15 million. So the city's capital improvement plan, the proposed budget includes $22.1 million in proposed capital improvement projects. That's 10 million projects being 10 million in projects being funded by the general fund. Special revenue funds at $5.5 million, and that's for streets, signals, and signage. And then there's storm drain projects for $410,000, and enterprise funds, which include our water and sewer funds, of $6.1 million. So this chart shows the total, actually the capital improvement funds and how they're being funded. Our major facility improvements are listed at the top, which include the fire station and fire station remodel design, the police department locker room construction, and the all accessible playground equipment at the sports park that's going to begin this year. We have a residential roadway rehabilitation that's scheduled for $2.1 million. And then we also have some pavement rehabilitation projects that are going to be going on this year. And one change from the draft budget is a few of these projects
had been earmarked with Measure HH funds in fiscal year 2021. So we're using those earmarks that were earmarked at that time to fund both the fire station remodel, $1 million from there, and 2.966 for the police department locker room. So we also have a signal and signage projects that are budgeted this year, and these are primarily funded by Measure M funding. So this shows a total capital improvement plan, general capital improvement plan of $15.5 million in fiscal year 24. We also have a number of drainage and water utility and sewer utility projects that are happening in fiscal year 24. And these total $410,000 in the drainage fund, $5.2 million in the water utility, and $910,000 in the sewer utility, for a total capital improvement program of $22.1 million. We also have a number of unfunded projects that are in the works, but currently we do not have funding to get these projects going. And this is a list of projects that is kind of at council's discretion, and my recommendation would be to relook at this list at mid-year when we're kind of halfway through the year to see if anything has changed and if we can possibly add some of these projects to the list of projects being done. Currently, the unfunded projects are totaling $14.8 million. A part of the budget, we also have to do a couple of other items. One includes the GAN appropriations limit. This requires us to do a calculation that's mandated by the state to make sure that the appropriations that we are proposing are within the city's means. And so our calculated GAN appropriations limit this year is $173.7 million. Our budget appropriations that are subject to that limit are $60.2 million, which means we're considerably under that limit that the state mandates on us. We also do a resolution for our water and sewer utility service charge. And this is charged to recover the cost of the use of city property and the services that are provided to the water and sewer utility by the city. And this amount is being calculated in fiscal year 24 at just over $2 million. So the next steps with the proposed budget is, if adopted tonight, we will prepare a budget book for publishing and prepare it for a GFOA award submittal. And then the fiscal year begins on July 1st. So staff's recommendation to the City Council to approve alternative number 1, which is to adopt a resolution adopting the fiscal year 23-24 annual budget and capital improvement program, adopt a resolution approving the GAN appropriations limit for fiscal year 23-24, and adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal year 23-24 annual schedule of property rental and administrative service charges to the municipal water and sewer utility funds. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I just want to take a minute to thank my finance manager, Robin, for the help that she's helped me to get this prepared. It's been a steep learning curve for both of us being new. So I also want to thank Maggie and all the departments for their help and their support putting it together. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Mayor Pro Tem Grandis.
Yeah, we talked about this last time, but I'm going to bring it up again. So you're showing a deficit for the year of $14 million. Can you tell us what the deficit versus the what's the word I'm looking for? The overage, or the, I don't want to say profit because it's not profit, but where were we the prior 2 years?
So the prior 2 years, we had just over a $12 million surplus in the prior 2 fiscal year actuals.
Combined, or?
12 million each year.
So 24 million. So when you were coming in this year, there was projects that moved from those years to this year.
Correct.
If I were sitting at home right now and I saw that the council was going to approve a $14 million deficit, I would be filling out recall ballots. So
Yep.
people need to understand that in the prior 2 years, there was a surplus, that's the word I'm looking for,
Yep.
of 24 projects due to COVID, due to other reasons got moved. So we're spending those funds that we allocated in different capital projects to now. So I just want to make sure that people understand what's going on.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan, can you bring back to the capital improvement plan slide number 2? Go back more. Yep, right there.
Yep.
Can you explain the last item, Newland pavement failure 1.2? What is that exactly?
Tamo, you want to?
That's a great question. Thank you, Councilmember Bui. So during the rainstorms, we had a deficiency on Newland and just south of Alice, and so we've been working with all of our Fountain Valley team to address that, including with our fire department team and Maggie and others to seek funding assistance in that regard. And so essentially, what that is an area on Newland in the number 2 northbound lane where there was a slight divot that we need to address.
So although we paid this upfront, but I think you were able to secure some funding because as the damage is caused by the rain. That's my understanding?
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure the public understand that we have to pay upfront, but there's possibly a grant that we'll be able to recoup from the state.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Okay, great. I want to make sure that the public understand that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If I may add, city staff is pursuing grant opportunity. They may not be guaranteed, but we are working with our legislature to see if they can support us in this effort.
There's another item too that's kind of similar to that too. You have on there the playground at 1.7 million, which is awesome. It's going to be great for the community. But the Community Foundation is leading the charge of fundraising for that. That's, I don't want to quite call it a loan of 1.7 million to the Parks Fund, but that will be replenished as well.
Any other council members with comments? Sure.
First of all, I want to say really good job on the budget, putting this package together. It's not only is it have a lot of good detail in it, but the summary is really good and easy to navigate. So I appreciate that. I just had a request on maybe go to the next slide. One more. Yeah, the wells. I would like to see the wells kind of be prioritized as getting done sooner than later. I know there's some logistical challenges where you got something that deep, but I'd like to get all our wells back in operation. So that's just my 2 cents. Thanks.
One comment on the wells, if I could too, is just make sure people understand that's not the general fund, right? That would come out of the water fund, which is separate from the general fund, and that's a break-even fund.
Right.
Any other comments?
I do, Mayor.
Sure, Maggie.
Just want to piggyback on Mayor Pro Tem's statement in regards to the deficit. Ryan, if you can clarify from a city operations standpoint, we do have a surplus because of capital improvement project, which is a one-time cost. It's creating the deficit, but it's not an ongoing deficit.
Right, that's correct, yep.
So Ryan, I want to thank you and your team and all of our department heads, directors. What a great job. Thank you so much for all your work. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis, second by Mayor Constantine. Please vote. Item number 7 passes 5-0.
Okay. Administrative items. Number 8 is authorize a budget appropriation and transfer of $4 million from Measure HH reserves to the city's Section 115 Pension Trust. Presentation by Ryan Smith, our Finance Director.
Thank you. Good evening again. This item for your consideration is an additional contribution to the city's pension trust fund. So when we're looking at how does the city address its unfunded liability pensions, really we have two options. One is to make a direct contribution to CalPERS to pay down our unfunded liabilities. And the benefit of doing that, it provides savings in the long term by paying down some of our longer amortization horizon items. The second option is to make a contribution to the city's Section 115 trust that is set aside for pension. This trust was established by the city in 2017. The city has contributed $10.3 million to this fund, and the market value as of March 31st is about $12.9 million. And the benefit of this is it provides the city with more flexibility with the funds. We're able to, although we're only able to use those funds for pension costs, we would be able to use those funds to pay the normal costs if we needed to, or pay down the unfunded liabilities in the future. So it provides the city with flexibility to be able to tap into those funds if there is an extreme need to do so. The proposal is to make this additional contribution from the Measure HH reserve. Currently, the Measure HH reserve has $17.2 million. We're projected to use 4.9 of that in the upcoming fiscal year for the set-aside CIP projects that I spoke about during the budget. The paying down unfunded liabilities is one of the priorities of the Responsible Spending Pledge, and the current fiscal year budget includes $3 million already, and so this would be an additional $4 million on top of that. So to kind of quickly look at our pension liabilities, this chart shows the prior 3-year actuals and the projected for fiscal year 22. Our funded status as of the most recent report that we get for the actuarials is 85% for fiscal year 2021. Our reports come about 1 year after the end of the year, the fiscal year. So we expect the fiscal year 22 reports to come in July. And our projection is a fairly large increase in the unfunded liabilities at that time due to the the gain and loss that was experienced last year by CalPERS. 6.8% is the discount rate, and our actual investment experience was a negative 6.1%. So when we add those two together, our actual gain and loss last year was 12.9%. So we're expecting the unfunded accrued liability to increase to $92 million next year. So tonight we're asking council to authorize a $4 million appropriation for Measure HH funds reserve to transfer to the city's pension trust. Staff will apply the current $3 million authorization or appropriation currently in the budget to CalPERS to pay down some of those longer-term amortizations. And these additional payments were recommended and supported by the Measure HH committee at our last meeting on May 18th. So with that, if you've got any questions, I'm here to answer.
Any questions?
Yeah, could you go to, I'm sorry, did you?
No question.
Yeah, so this is so frustrating. This is so incredibly frustrating because what people need to understand is the accrued pension liability, that number, the top line, is we can't pay it off. All we can do is fund against it. So when you look at the second line item, that's how many funds we have at the state to offset what the liability is. And what killed us there, it's not like we took money out or think, it's the investments that we have up at the state took a huge hit. So, we're back to $92 million worth of unfunded pension liability. And it's not like if we had $92 million, we could just put it into the account and pay it off and not worry about it, because all of that money is being paid out over the people's lives after they've retired. But the assets we have are invested. and it goes up or down depending on the market. So it's just frustrating because we've been putting in $3 million extra per year. We've been making all these payments. We've been doing everything we're supposed to. We're going to put another $4 million in now after we've already done $3 million this year, and we've gone backwards significantly from $53 million unfunded pension liability to $92 million. So I just need people to understand how this works. We're doing everything we can. This is something that we inherited and we deal with all the time. But it's this is really a frustrating year. I mean, to have it go up another almost $40 million. I mean, it's just, now the market's going to do better. It's done better this year, so we're going to have some good returns. Cross your fingers and light a fire or whatever you have to do to good luck. But I just need people to understand how this works. It's not like it's just a credit card debt you pay it off and it goes away. I wish it was that simple. But we're doing everything we can, but it's and also the people need to know too is that our employees have stepped up and things have changed where they contribute more to their pension, so we don't have as big an issue as what caused all this. So we're working on it, but it's I don't know, I'm just frustrated with it.
Well, and real quick, one thing to add on to that is, yes, this is a moving target that we're trying to hit. In fiscal year 21, there was a 21.3% increase in CalPERS investment return. That increase triggered a policy that CalPERS has to lower the discount rate. Lowering the discount rate has a significant impact on the unfunded liabilities. So we didn't get to experience the whole gain from that year because part of it went towards lowering the discount rate. Now, the following year, we were down 12.9%. We absorbed that whole thing on our liability. So when there's really good years, we're only going to get a little bit of impact because they're going to lower the discount rate. But when there's bad years, we're going to see all of that. So it's frustrating there, too, because we're not getting the full impact both ways. It's just we get a little bit on the good years and the whole thing on the bad years. So,
which is another reason to keep it in our own trust, and
Yep.
we do it versus trusting the state.
Sure.
So I have a question with regards to the trust. I think part of the reason for establishing it was to provide liquidity, and in case CalPERS suddenly said, "Oh, well, we paid us $5 million last year. Well, you got to pay us $8 million this year," to provide some cushion against those fluctuations. But once we have a sufficient amount in there, why would we keep it in there? Do we think we're going to do better than CalPERS that's managing $300 billion? Why don't we just let them do it? And I don't know how we've done compared to them in the past years, but I don't think we have as much ability to invest in things as they do.
Yeah, CalPERS is the largest fund in the world. They have the most assets of any fund in the world. But they also have a lot of restrictions on what they can invest in. They have certain policies to kind of mitigate some of their investment risk that they have. So I think the couple of years ago when they had a 21.3% return, I believe the 115 was closer to 30%. So they're usually, CalPERS is usually trailing the S&P return.
It doesn't look like that from the slide. I don't know because I'm just looking at the assets in the 115 trust, and maybe there's a lag or something, but I'm not seeing a 30% return.
Oh, and from the 10 million to the 12.7, yeah. There's probably a combination of things that happened there, that there wasn't the full experience of that, and I don't know exactly what the city's plan did that year. I'm just, at my prior city, we had a 30% return on our 115. I want to say it was close to that here.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I think it would help to, I mean, before I would say put more money in the trust, I think, it'd be helpful to know if we're doing better or worse than CalPERS. Because
Sure.
I think, and then the other question is, what is a sufficient amount? Do we have a target that we want in the 115?
Yeah, so that's kind of a hot topic amongst cities right now.
Yeah.
This has been going on now for about 10 years, and cities are really asking that question of what is enough in the 115 trust? What's the right amount?
Yeah.
And when do we start using it? And so a lot of cities are starting to develop a policy on kind of putting that cap on and deciding how and when to use those funds to go from a contribution stance to more of a withdrawal and how we're using it. So
Yeah.
that's something that we're looking at, and we're probably going to be bringing a policy to council sometime in the next year to address just that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ryan.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis with a second by Mayor Constantine. Please vote.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I will. I'll support the motion, but I do want to see before we make another contribution to it. What do we think should be in the fund? What's our how much is enough, and then how is the fund done compared to CalPERS in the historical years? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Item 8 passes 5-0.
Okay. Item 9, approve an agreement with Occupational Health Centers of California Medical Corporation, DBA Concentra, to provide occupational health services. Presentation by Carrie Haynes, our Human Resources Director.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. The item before you is a recommendation to approve a 3-year agreement with Concentra in the sum of $300,000 over the course of 3 years to provide the city's pre-employment physical examinations, industrial injury medical treatment, employee yearly contractual physicals, and medical services. That would begin July 1st, 2023 through the term of the contract ending June 30th of 2026. The city has a long-standing contract with Memorial Care for occupational medical services. Recently, they notified the city that they will no longer be offering these services effective July 1, 2023. In accordance with the city's purchasing policies, the City of Fountain Valley issued a request for proposal for occupational medical services. The RFP was publicly advertised through Planet Bids with an invitation through the city's website. 7 medical providers submitted proposals. The evaluation process was completed on a 3-step process: evaluation of the proposal, interview process, and site visits. Each proposal was evaluated on a 10-point grading system in 3 areas, including qualifications and experience, staff availability, and understanding the scope of work. With the assistance of the purchasing division, the bid was awarded to Concentra. Concentra has been known to deliver convenient and accessible medical services for its clients. They have over 520 medical centers nationwide, and they're considered to be the largest provider of occupational health services in the country. Locally, Concentra has 10 occupational medical centers in Orange County, with 6 centers geographically located within 10 miles of the city. So that definitely helps out with new hires that are looking to come and work for us, and then also for occupational injuries. That way, if it's, say, safety, it doesn't take them away by having to travel so far. And it just gives us an opportunity. If we have employees that live outside of Orange County, they would be able to go to one of these centers that are within California and visit those centers should they have follow-up treatment. Then the medical services that we are going to contract with Concentra for are pre-employment medical screenings, pre-employment drug screening services, TB testing, hearing tests, law enforcement medical screenings and exams, fire department physicals, fitness for duty exams, and regulated workplace vaccinations and DMV medical physicals. The clinic management will work closely with the city to ensure that we have a seamless transition going from Memorial Care to Concentra. Fees are paid through a couple different accounts. One is our workers' compensation account, human resources account, and the fire department budget. And those are all budgeted within our fiscal year 23-24 report. Alternatives for your consideration are to approve the agreement with Concentra or do not approve the agreement. And I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're
Anybody
welcome.
have any comments, questions? Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Sorry. There we go. We have a motion by Councilmember Bui, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis. Item number 9 passes 5-0.
Okay. Item number 10 is a resolution of the City of Fountain Valley, California, approving the density bonus and affordable housing agreement for the Slater Avenue mixed-use project. Presentation by Stephen Ayers, our principal planner. Hi, Stephen.
Hi. Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Council, presented before you tonight is a resolution approving a density bonus and affordable housing agreement for the Slater mixed-use project. The California Density Bonus Law and the Fountain Valley Municipal Code provide that owners of residential development projects that include specified levels of affordable housing are entitled to apply for and receive certain density bonuses and incentives to facilitate the economic feasibility of those projects. As you remember, the Slater mixed-use project was approved last year in March of 2022. And the residential portion of that project included 270 units, broken up between 217 base units and 53 density bonus units. The project reserved 15% of the base units, which is 33 units, as affordable to low-income households. Per the precise plan number 562 that was approved for the project last year, the developer is obligated to comply with certain conditions of approval, including that the city and developer enter into a density bonus and affordable housing agreement, to implement the terms and conditions for development, operation, maintenance, and management of the 33 affordable units for a 55-year affordability period at affordable rents that are adjusted annually. The agreement before you tonight complies with density bonus law, and it was reviewed and agreed upon by the city's special counsel on affordable housing and the city attorney, as well as the developer's attorney. So the recommendation, staff's recommendation for you tonight is to approve alternative number 1, which is to adopt a resolution approving the density bonus and affordable housing agreement for the Slater mixed-use project. And that concludes staff's report.
So, Stephen, the affordability component is for 55 years, 5-5. What happens after 55 years?
That would be a good question for our special counsel. I believe that after the 55 years, it goes to a market rate rent, but.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. So yes, after 55 years, it would go to market rate. What we are required to do when we get close to that date, especially as part of the housing element and state law, is to try and negotiate that for a longer term as we get closer. But the standard is 55 years at this time. But we do try to negotiate those as we do get close to them.
Sure. And we have a nice audience here tonight, and I'm sure a lot of viewers at home, and, well, inquiring minds would like to know, do we know when this project is going to start? I have to ask.
That might be a good question for the developer, but as far as I can tell you, they're in plan check right now. Hopefully the next round of plan check will be the final one, so hopefully pretty soon. But again, that's my best guess.
Sure. Thank you. Any questions from council? Okay.
We have a motion by Mayor Constantine, a second by Councilmember Cunneen. Please vote. Item 10 passes 5-0.
Okay, item number 11, amendment number 1 to extend contract 22-11 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 with CityNet for homeless outreach services in the amount of $321,036.28. Presentation by Tony Luce, our police captain.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. I'm bringing before you a request to extend the city's contract with CityNet. Our partnership with CityNet began in March of 2022. That contract was set for 16 months and is set to expire at the end of June. So we are seeking to extend that contract for another 12 months. Last year, when the police department researched potential vendors for street outreach and engagement services, the police chief looked at the needs of our city. Several of these needs included non-law enforcement street outreach and engagement, regular follow-up and case management services, connections to emergency housing, medical care and food, transportation to services, and other factors. CityNet was the only organization we found that was able to singularly provide all of these services and potentially meet the needs of our city. Now that we have worked with them for approximately 16 months, we have found that they have provided valuable services for us that the city department simply cannot provide alone. Since our partnership with CityNet has found housing for 48 people. They have encountered over 300 people experiencing homelessness. They have engaged in almost 1,000 contacts, meaning that several homeless individuals have been contacted numerous times. This is often necessary to build rapport and trust with them in order to get them to want to accept services that they desperately need. From a fiscal standpoint, the 12-month contract would cost $321,036.28. In 2022, I applied for the permanent local housing allocation grant through the California Department of Housing and Community Development. The PLHA program was established through Senate Bill 2, and the money can only be used for very specific eligible activities, including assisting persons with who are experiencing homelessness. We were eligible for monies available in 2020 and 2021 in the total amount of $369,374. That money has all been received and is being used to pay for the 2022-2023 CityNet contract. In November, we were awarded an additional $247,348 for monies that were available in 2022. That money will be used to pay for the remainder of the 22-23 contract, and the balance will be used towards the 2023-24 contract. There are 2 additional years of proposed PLHA funding, but those amounts will not be known until 2024 and 2025. So at this point, I am pleased to introduce CityNet Regional Program Supervisor Valerie Carter to talk about their organization.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Thank you so much for that introduction. We have had a team of 2 case managers, 2 full-time case managers here in the city since March of 2022. So when my team, and I have the privilege of supervising the team of 2, but when they are in your city, they roll around in a CityNet branded marked minivan so that neighbors, residents, business owners will be able to very easily recognize them. But we operate not only on an appointment system. When we get calls to our outreach line, we're able to go out the very next day and meet the individual wherever they're at, as well as we work directly with the CROs. So we have a really great relationship with them, and they will let us know when they encounter someone that they believe needs our help, and we will be there as soon as we are done with our current appointment or as soon as we're able to get there. We, as a team, refer and participate in the Office of Care Coordination's coordinated entry system. So this is a homeless service system that is designed to connect those that are sleeping outside or in places not meant for habitation to not only emergency shelter beds, but also permanent housing opportunities. So those are things such as permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing programs, as well as housing voucher programs. Throughout the pandemic, there's been an increase of emergency housing vouchers, and those are the types of things that we seek to get individuals sleeping outside or in their cars connected to as soon as possible. But we are really proud of the work that we've been able to do here in Fountain Valley in the last 14 months, I think you said, 16 months. But we have cleared several encampments behind the softball fields. There have been some pretty highly visible encampments on some major cross streets that we've been able to help mitigate along with PD. So we're really proud of that as well. But we're continuing to charge on, plug on, and hopefully increase the number of emergency shelter and permanent housing placements in your city. I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Sure.
So I have a question. So if I understood correctly on the first contract, I believe it was approximately $400,000. Is that right?
It was 395 and some change.
Approximately four.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And in that $400,000, it was included that it was for expenses such as somebody needed a bus ride back to Kansas City to get back to their family or stuff like that. And it was a not-to-exceed contract, if I remember correctly, and that if not all of the expenditures were spent for that you wouldn't use them all. So I guess, first off, do I have that correct? And two, did you spend it all?
I don't remember the wording on that of whether they're all that. We paid it out in monthly installments. I forget what the monthly payment was. I don't remember any of the wording from the original contract that it was, whether it was a not to exceed contract and whether there was any stipulations regarding monies that weren't spent.
Okay. Does anybody know?
I don't recall that it was a not to exceed.
Well, I know there was, like, if somebody needed a plane ride home or something, that was built into it. And I remember asking at the time, well, if we don't spend that portion of it, because not all of it was for that, but if we didn't spend all of that, what happens to that funding? I guess, I mean, I don't need an answer right now, but I would like an answer on that.
Sure, I can look into that for you.
And thank you, sir. Oh, Maggie, do you know?
Mayor Pro Tem, I recall there was an allotment, possibly up to $50,000 for the flexibility of CityNet to tap into for motel stay or hotel stay, or potentially some transportation voucher to allow the individual to go to their loved ones or something to that respect. But we'll give you a firm answer.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure we're watching closely, that's all. I'm sure somebody is. I'm confident of that.
Yeah, looking at the current contract, I'm not sure if this is exactly what you're talking about. There's a client services total, which is itemized at $44,000, which includes several things, including rapid rehousing, room and board, rooms, relocations, also fees for documentation, local transportation, work expenses. I don't know if that would be inclusive of what you're talking about from the previous contract, but I will definitely look into that, and I can get you an answer on that.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Either way, I don't want to sound negative because you guys are doing a fantastic job on this, and I appreciate it. And you know, it's not perfect. We still have unhoused in our community. Obviously, those that just absolutely refuse any kind of help. But I honestly think we had upwards of 20-something in our sports park at unhoused people at the time, and I feel good that we were able to provide help for that and resources. And it's not perfect, but I think we would be in a much different situation, not as favorable without CityNet. So thank you for all you do.
Anyone else? Sure.
I have a question. So just in general, when you go out to make contact with the homeless person, what are some of the things? I mean, we hear a lot of stuff on the news. It's drugs. It's can't afford housing. They don't want help. What are some of the things you're seeing out there?
Sure. I think the things that you just mentioned are things that we often encounter. We do work with individuals, regardless of their current sobriety, in pursuing any housing resources or any other potential treatment resources, relocations, reconnecting with family or friends. But in regards to substance abuse, fentanyl is the drug that we are seeing most often being utilized out on the streets. And it is an awful drug that takes a hold of people very, very quickly. So the ramifications of using that are usually pretty obvious and super visible to our team, but regardless of that, that doesn't mean that they are unable to be housed. It just means that it's going to be more difficult for them to pursue the paperwork that it takes and the meetings that it takes, and understanding the system of care, because that can oftentimes be very difficult to understand. But, you know, affordability in Orange County, affordability across California is a major barrier as well. It's very difficult to find rental amounts that are within low-income individuals' budgets, and that's just a reality of where we are right now. But that is why programs like rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing and housing vouchers are vital in helping end homelessness, and that's what CityNet as an agency works towards. But we know that that takes a long time for a lot of people, so we are out here doing as much as we can, but utilizing the systems that are in place within our county and through the Office of Care Coordination to connect to appropriate resources.
Are you having much success with family reunification? I imagine that you know, if a family member knows that one of their family is homeless somewhere, they would want to help.
Yeah, that is one of the things that we bring up pretty often, having conversation about whether it's family or friends that they have in other areas that have adequate housing that would agree to accept them for an extended period of time. So when we have those conversations, we're asking, can we speak to the individual in the next state or across the country, and we're asking for their address. We're doing our due diligence and making sure it's not a storage unit that they're going to or something like that. But I wouldn't say that it comes up all too often. It's not the majority of the placements that we have, but you know, to put a number on it, I was trying to pull it up on my phone. I don't know the exact number, but I would estimate that it's probably been less than 10 since the time that we've been here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure, Maggie.
I just want the community to be aware. This is something that PD and also the support of our city council in response to all the unhoused individual in our community. We did see a huge influx in the last 2 years, and mostly around the pandemic period. And with the support of city council, this is a tool for us to utilize in the short term. And as everyone knows, city council also is investing in the long term, which is a future navigation center to allow the city to enforce. Right now, we have restriction what we can do when we see unhoused individual in the community, and by our elected official investing in short term and long term, it really helps our police officer to focus on the more necessary service and focus from a response standpoint than, you know, working on the outreach component of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you very much, Captain Luce. And I appreciated, too, your presentation this morning at the Rotary meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a first to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis, second by Mayor Constantine. Please vote. Item number 11 passes 5-0.
Item number 12, approve amendment number 2 to CON-20-20 with Sweeping Corporation of America for street sweeping services to extend the contract term for 2 years and increase the annual contract amount by $14,181.41. Presentation by Mark Sprague, our Field Services Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council.
Sure.
So this is the first of 3 contract extensions I'm going to be bringing forward tonight. This first one is amendment number 2 to our street sweeping contract with SCA, Sweeping Corporation of America. Just a little bit of contract history on the current contract. So this contract went into effect June 16th, 2020. Initially, it was with Sunset Property Services. In May 2021, Sunset Property Services was acquired by SCA. So we brought the first amendment with the name change from Sunset to SCA. And the current contract term on this one expires at the end of the month. So the amendment we're bringing forward tonight extends the contract term 2 years through June 30th, 2025, with a 3.7% increase, or a little over $14,000 annually. The overall financials on it, so the current contract is $383,000 and some change. With the increase, it's going to be going to $397,000, and our proposed budget was $441,000. And the total overall price of the contract for the 2 years will be just under $795,000. So with that, staff is requesting City Council approval of alternative number 1 to approve amendment number 2 to contract 2020 with Sweeping Corporation of America for street sweeping services to extend the contract term for 2 years and increase the annual contract amount by $14,181.41. I think that's it. Yeah, and with that, I'm available for any questions.
Sure. Any questions by council? And we do have a public speaker, Mr. Berg.
Would you like me to call in the public?
Please, thank you.
Public comment. George Berg.
Council members, I was here before, and this is one of the topics I wanted to talk about. In my tract area, we have a number of cars that park across the sidewalk on street sweeping days. And we have a number of people that are in wheelchairs, they have strollers, they have walkers, and this creates a really hazardous situation going out in the street to loop around the cars, finding the next opening to get back up on the sidewalk to encounter it. But instead of giving tickets, which I don't think is what we should be doing, I would suggest that we go alternate sides of the road. Friday, first and third Friday this side, second and fourth Friday this side. So now we can get the cars off the streets, we can get them off the grass, and we can move them, and we don't have to ticket our people. We give them an alternative because we are getting more dense housing, which results in a lot more cars. We can do, they have some program similar to this in Huntington, opposite sides of the roads. It would be different to the street sweepers, how they would handle it. It would take some signage, and I don't know how that fits into a budget that you're talking about street sweeping, but you would need some signage, and you'd need the, reconfiguring how they're going to work on that. But that was my suggestion. Thank you.
I have no other requests to speak on this item.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve by Mayor Constantine with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis. Please vote. Item number 12 passes 5-0.
Item number 13, approve amendment number 1 to CON-21-19 with Great Scott Tree Service Incorporated for tree maintenance services to extend the contract term for 2 years and increase the annual contract amount by $38,834.50. Presentation by Mark Sprague, our Field Services Manager.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor, Council. So yeah, contract number 2, another contract extension. This one's for the tree maintenance services. The history on this contract, May 18th, 2021, City Council awarded the contract to Great Scott, and the current contract expires again at the end of this month. So this amendment number 1 proposes to extend the contract term 2 years through June 30th, 2025, with an overall increase of 12.5% or $38,800 annually. So the financial breakdown of that, the current contract, $335,000. With the amendment, 12.5% increase, it goes to $374,000, which falls within our budget of $385,000. And then the total overall 2-year contract impact is $748,000. With that, staff is requesting City Council approval of alternative number 1 to approve amendment number 1 to contract 2119 with Great Scott Tree Service for tree maintenance services to extend the contract term for 2 years and increase the annual contract amount by $38,834.50. Again, with that, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Just a comment, 12.5% sure seems like a lot for a cost of living on this particular
So
contract.
they gave us some reasoning behind it. They initially requested 15%. We negotiated with them to 12.5%. And the reason behind that was prevailing wage for tree trimmers has gone up 16% over the contract term, and it's going up an additional 9%, along with all of the cost increases on materials and supplies.
Okay, and do we send this out to bid? Is this?
We initially bid it at the first contract, and they came in. I don't know if I wrote it. They came in.
I understand. I mean, we're kind of under the gun in timing, so hopefully in the future, next contract.
So we surveyed 4 cities that, instead of extending their contracts, just recently went out to bid, and the average increase was a 60% increase.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mayor, I just want to echo what Mayor Pro Temp just said. Prior, I've said the same thing. I know we don't have a system of tracking contract at this point. That's my understanding. But hopefully in the future, there's a way for tracking and give us council more ample time, right? For example, hey, this contract is up in the next 6 months. Do you want to go RFP or whatnot? Not just the contract is the end of the month. There's no time for us to respond, and there's no time for the city to go out, look for the best possible bid, right? Because we can't have those services now, or else we will. This city won't look good, right? We need to keep that presence. I just want to echo that in the future, perhaps we could work on something.
Yeah, that's understood. It's just with the current contract that we have, the contract language is we have to wait for the CPI, which doesn't. The first quarter ends in April. We don't get CPI till May. So we'd have to look at adjusting the original contract language on that time frame to give us a bigger window next time.
Well, at least you understand our thinking, so work on that, and I'm sure you will.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we've had some changes in Public Works, too.
That's true. So one other question, too. I'm sure we have, but have we done a cost comparison of, why are we outsourcing this? Couldn't we? It sounds like it would be a lot less expensive to hire.
On all 3 of these contracts, so initially during the Great Recession, we slowly started contracting things out. It was a great savings at that time. But looking at bringing it back in-house, it's several years and a lot of upfront costs of purchasing tree trimming trucks, tree trimming materials. Then we'd have to add a whole other crew of 10, 15 guys to handle all of the trees and everything. So there's a lot of upfront costs and then a lot of PERS ongoing costs and employee costs. So it's still, at this time, I still think it's beneficial cost savings to be contracting out.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Personally, I think we're getting a great deal. So although, in theory, it's always maybe you go out to bid and get a better cost, but I trust you. You guys have been working with these contractors, and I think negotiating the rate 3% on one contract, 12% on this one for the next 2 years, and with the inflation environment, I think it's I feel like it's a pretty good deal. So I'm fully in favor.
May I can
Sure, Maggie.
As Mark stated, we did do a survey with some of our cities in regards to the recent that went out to RFP. If I heard it correctly, Mark stated it's an increase of at least 16%.
Average of 60% on this contract.
Yeah.
The street sweeping contract, I think that one, so that one's based on curb miles. We pay $24 a curb mile. The average of, I think that one we looked at 16 cities, the average was $26 a curb mile. And then when we went out to bid on that, the low bid that we got with the current contractor was 40% lower than the next lowest bid.
Right. And in addition to that, as Mark stated, the contractor requested 15%, but we basically kind of tie with the current CPI, which
Correct.
is 12%. So, you know, we evaluated those options to make sure we're getting the best deal in this process.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis with a second by Mayor Constantine. Please vote. Item number 13 passes 5-0.
Item number 14, approve amendment number 3 to CON-19-28 with Merchants Landscape Services Incorporated for sports parks, and civic facilities landscape maintenance services to extend the contract term for 2 years, add landscape maintenance services at Moyola Park, adjust the additional sports park turf renovation services to meet the city's needs, and increase the annual contract amount by $12,849.28. And again, we have Mark Sprague.
My final one.
Sure.
All right, so yeah, again, another contract extension. This one is with our sports park, our neighborhood parks, and our civic facilities landscape maintenance. The history of this current contract, so in June 2019, council awarded the first contract, or not the first, but the initial contract on this to Merchants Landscape. In May 18, 2021, we did the First Amendment, which extended the contract 2 years, and that was at a base increase of 2.6%, and then we added some additional work to some shrubs along Ellis Park and additional maintenance frequencies at the 2 fire stations. And then in September 20th, 2022, Amendment number 2 added additional turf renovations for the 3 scheduled community events that year at the sports park, the Crawfish Festival, Barbecue Festival, and the Lobster Fest. And then we also added synthetic spraying of our residential right-of-ways to that one, to that amendment. And this current contract expires again at the end of this month. So the proposed amendment number 3 tonight is to extend the contract for the final 2-year extension on this contract to June 30th, 2025. And again, increase the base maintenance amount by 6%, and then adding Moyola Park, our new park, the landscape maintenance to that, and then readjusting the turf renovation at the sports park down to the 2 events this year. So kind of the financial overview of that, the current contract amount, $860,000 with the 6% increase in addition of Moyola Park. That increases the contract, but getting rid of Barbecue Fest this upcoming year is a cost savings of $42,000, which brings the total overall impact of only $12,800 to this contract, bringing the total amount to $873,000. Again, kind of a breakdown of the different sections of this contract. The sports park with the additional renovations and the base amount brings that total to $516,000. The neighborhood parks, civic facilities, and the synthetic weed control for $356,000 for a total contract amount of $873,000. And this one we were able to get it a little early, so we budgeted it right on budget. And then just some additional information for the audience and residents at home tonight. The new Moyola Park is a 1.2-acre park that was constructed on the former Moyola Elementary School site as part of the Currents development. And then as part of negotiating that, Lennar, the developer, paid up front the $176,000, which will cover the first 10 years of maintenance. And that includes the landscape maintenance along with the trees and the playground equipment. And again, the cost to the city will be just under $12,000 a year for the landscape maintenance at that park. And then lastly, Community Services Department has been coordinating the ribbon cutting that will be happening out there on July 15th. And that brings me to the end. Staff is requesting City Council approval of alternative number 1 to approve amendment number 3 to contract 1928 with Merchants Landscape Services Incorporated for sports parks, and civic facilities landscape maintenance services to extend the contract term for 2 years, add landscape maintenance services at Moyola Park, adjust the additional sports park turf renovation services, excuse me, to meet the city's needs, and increase the annual contract amount by $12,849.28. And again, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions or comments? I know we have a public speaker on this. Oh, sure. Okay, sure.
We have a public comment by George Berg. Mr. Berg, you'll have 3 minutes.
I thought I'd get it done all in one day. I didn't know it was a budget day, or I probably would have come here sooner to talk about it. But anyway, who checks on the maintenance of the parks? Because I know Harper Park is really, it takes about 2 months of weeds growing up high before they even look and see it's time to clean out weeds. Is there somebody that goes around the parks and see that we're getting our money's worth? Okay, you can't answer that, I'm sure. But
actually, this is an agendized item, so we can respond.
Okay.
It's non-agendized that we can't.
Okay. Well,
Coach Berg, I will commit to you that I will stop over the house. I have a couple times. You're never there, but I'll stop over and we'll go walk the park together.
Oh,
and take
please.
A look.
And that was one of my suggestions. If we divided up the city parks among the congressmen, like we do the building, and they get an assistant like that you do in your building department for building, and you can give 5 parks or 7, I think I said it's 7 parks, and then people can call that person and make reference to what's going on at my park, and they know that that's what we're doing. The other thing I had real quick is we had 36 days of rain where no maintenance was being done at all on the parks. Do we get any of that money back? Where they don't send out any workers. The grass grew for 3 weeks at Harper Park, and they never mowed it. And then all of a sudden, it's just all clumpy all over the place. Anyway, but they have a lot of days that they don't work that I think we contract for a full calendar time of maintenance. And then we have that extra. I actually watched one where we pay them an extra $105,000 or $40,000 for the extra plants and all these kind of things that they replace that goes beyond their contract. They have anyway. My suggestion was we start looking at that time when they don't work and put it towards that extra money that they have available when they have to buy plants and to replant if there's a car runs over the medians and stuff like that. But I think we could do a much better job in getting our tax money out of the contract. Thank you.
Okay, so something must have slipped through the cracks. I mean, we do pride ourselves on our parks, and we will look into this. Thank you so much.
I had a question
for
Mark. So on the first of all, I really like the graphics on this presentation. They're very cheerful. So
Christine Smith.
Yeah. So nice job on that. The synthetic weed control. What is that? Is that environmentally friendly? It sounds.
It's just that it's the different, all the different for pests, weeds, all the herbicides and stuff. There are some organics they've been testing, but it's mainly the synthetic.
Okay, so I guess my request, if they can use environmentally friendly products.
Yeah, so we have in the contract language that they have to do manual mechanical means before resulting into that. With all the rains and stuff, it was too hard to catch up this year, so they've been having to spray a little more.
Gotcha. And then for the turf renovation after the festivals, can you sort of describe what's involved in that? It seems like a lot of money for not that big of an area, but I'm sure there's
Yeah, so there's a little bit of variances between each event and then the user groups that use those sports fields. So with crawfish this year, we had a short window of only a few weeks before Summerfest is coming up.
Okay.
So with that, this will be the lowest cost turf rehabilitation. We're going to put gypsum down and help with the soil and the compaction to try to get it back for Summerfest. And then after Summerfest, that's when we spend a lot of money on the rehabilitation, where we actually have to go in and aerate the soil, and we have to cut out the dead spots and resod and get it ready to be played on during the summer.
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
I just want. Did you want to go ahead?
Go ahead.
I just want to make a statement and comment for our resident, Mr. Birch. You referenced to pests and weed. Well, according to the contract, the landscaping is supposed to take care of all the pest issues or weed issues. Now, that's a great question that you just raised earlier, and I think that will be something that our city attorney will look into the contract, whether if doing those, servers, if we as a city, we still have to pay if they come out service. That I don't know. That I'm sure our city will look into it. But other than that, the pest issue and the weed is in the service contract, so those things should be taken care of. Thank you.
I actually have a question again. Can you go to the numbers page again? The dollars. Keep going back. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah. So it looks like the price didn't go up that much, which is good, but it was major work. So we're not doing the barbecue fest anymore, which should be a savings of $45,000 approximately. Can you explain to me how we took out something, but we're not seeing a major change in cost? Am I missing it?
Here, so yeah. So here's kind of the breakdown on that. So the 6% added the 43,000. The addition of Myola added 11,000, but the elimination of Barbecue Fest took out 42,000.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, that explains it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure, Maggie.
If I may add, we definitely hear Mr. Burt's concern in regards to the maintenance of the parks and so forth. It is something that we recognized recently and learned due to the fact that we have vacancy in the position of managing our contractor. Our interim public works director, working closely with Mark, is something that we are looking into to ensure that the service is being provided to our community.
Thank you.
I have one
Sure.
question while we're on the subject. I know some of the Harper Park is under the Southern California Edison easement. Does that change the responsibility for taking care of the gophers? I know there's some over in Courageous as well.
No, so it's still treated, even though we lease that property, we're still responsible for full maintenance of it.
Okay, all right, thanks.
But they still won't let us put a community garden there.
Well, yeah, there's limits on the lease, yeah.
So we pay a lease and we pay for maintenance, but we can't put there what we want. Okay, that's not your fault. I get it.
We have a motion to approve by Mayor Constantine with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis. Item number 14 passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Item number 15, Analta Group Incorporated, encroachment permits review and issuance services. Accept fee proposal from Analta Group Incorporated in the amount of $43,464 for encroachment permits review and issuance services, and authorize staff to issue a purchase order for the amount. Presentation by Timo Galvez, our Public Works, Deputy Public Works Director.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Good evening. So tonight we are requesting an approval of a purchase order of a little over $43,000 for permit processing services from Anyalta. Anyalta was selected through a competitive process. We solicited an RFQ for various services in engineering and in public works, and one of those included permit processing, plan checking. Anyalta has provided services through that RFQ for plan check, a review, primarily for the Frontier fiber optics project, where Frontier paid for all of those services. They have also helped the city with project inspection for residential paving work. So they have a number of different services that they provide. And so we're asking for 4 months of service to help our department continue the permit processing services while we work with our Fountain Valley team in HR to continue filling vacancies.
Any questions or comments? Sure.
Hi, Timo. Thank you for that clarification. Can you also explain to the public that although you're requesting that 43,000, this fee is also paid back by the business owners as well? Is my understanding?
That's a great point. When we do get cost recovery through the permit processing, whether it's a resident doing work that requires improvements in the public right-of-way, that requires our permit processing and inspection, all the way through more major work, like a major utility company that's coming through town like Edison, that also requires extensive review of plans and field review and assessment to make sure that we inspect and provide the proper processing for the permit. All of those fees are paid. So that's a great point.
Great. I just want to make sure that we understand that. Thank you.
Any comments or anything? Thank you, Tamo.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Bui with a second by Mayor Pro Tem Grandis. Please vote. Item 15 passes 5-0.
Item 16, City of Fountain Valley 6-month strategic objectives adoption for May 11, 2023 through November 16, 2023. Presentation by Maggie Lee, our city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item before you is to approve the 6-month strategic objective adoption from May 11th, 23 through November 16, 2023. This is a standard protocol for City Council to formally adopt the strategic objective. And with the recent exercise that we did, we also identify our vision statement and also our mission statement. But before we go into the detail of that, I just want to share with the public that on May 11, 2023, the City Council held a strategic planning session with executive management team and department managers. This is the first time that we extended to the department manager, and they were ecstatic to be able to be a part of the strategic session. Those were in attendance collaborated to establish a city mission and vision statements, 3-year goals, and 6-month strategic planning objective for May 11th through November 16th of 2023 for your adoption tonight. The strategic plan has and will continue to serve as a guideline for both the City Council and city staff as we work to achieve our goals over the next few years. So as I stated, the team was able to collectively work together, and as Council Member Patrick Harper stated, this is probably one of our best strategic sessions. The reason why is that there were a lot of synergy, and the team actually collaborated, feel comfortable in that environment to work with City Council and the management team to provide feedback. And actually, they stated this time around, they feel like they own our mission statement and our vision statement. And the vision statement is that Fountain Valley is a safe, inclusive, and desirable community where you can live your best life. It's going to be our hashtag, live your best life in Fountain Valley. And our mission statement is the City of Fountain Valley is a team-driven organization. We are focusing on our team, committed to providing excellent service. That is our job, to serve our community, to provide excellent service for our community through core values. The core values as it stand is fiscal stability, honesty, integrity and ethical behavior, teamwork, innovation, quality of life, and excellent customer service. In the near future, we will have the vision statement, mission statement throughout city facility, because now we own it and we want the community to be aware this is where we're heading from an organization standpoint, and we're here to serve our community. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight some of our, before I highlight the key strategic objective, I wanted to go ahead and share with the community our 3-year goal. The first goal is to enhance the culture and environment of a nice place to live. I'm going to highlight a few of those objectives within each of the goal. One is to facilitate a new contract for unhoused outreach and engagement, which City Council did approve tonight to extend with CityNet through 2024. Also present to the City Council for direction a proposal of robust and professional community survey on the quality of service in Fountain Valley. Again, we're focusing on customer service. We did an in-house customer service survey from staff perspective, and we did receive overwhelming satisfied service, but we wanted to go ahead and really do a professional one, which is being done by a lot of communities. So that gives us more scientific data than just the community going to our city website to fill it out. The second 3-year goal is to achieve fiscal stability by evaluating processes and attract and retain revenue-producing businesses and priorities. And some of the objective that we identify is to complete and present our economic plan update. And so businesses is, of course, very critical in our community. They are the one that provides job opportunity for our resident and surrounding community. And on top of that, we also identify potential action items that really support our businesses to continue to grow and invest in our community. Another objective is to identify facility in need of major repair or replacement and place in a newly created fund. As you know, most of our facility is deteriorating, and so our finance director will identify those facilities that needs maintenance or future investment, and then we will create a line item to potentially, with any surplus that we have down the road, that the city council can set aside some of those money to invest and improve our facility. Another one is retain services of a consultant to identify surplus land for possible hotel and present it to the city manager. As a priority for city council, we are working on generating new revenue to keep up with the cost of doing business. City government, similar to a business operation, we have expenses that we have to, ensure that we're able to cover those costs. And one of the priority is, we can't continue to, stay at status quo, because cost of doing business continue to increase inflation. And so in order for us to continue to, sustain that, we have to look at opportunities for our city council to consider and direct staff from a policy making standpoint. Another goal is to attract and retain quality staff through best practices and trends. As city council stated, staff is our biggest assets in our organization, similar to the private sector. If our employees are happy, content, guess what? The outcome will be great. And so we want to provide excellent customer service. So if our employees are happy with our organization, they will be there to happily serve our community. So that is a priority for us from an organization standpoint. Some of the highlight on the strategic objective include present to the city council suggested improvement to hiring and onboarding process. Currently, with the current workforce, there's a high demand for quality staff. So if we have any delay in the recruitment process, another agency will pick those individuals up. And so our HR department is working to evaluate that process to see if there's any opportunity from an efficiency standpoint to get those newly hired on board sooner than later. Another one is to present and bring forward top trends in workforce and labor market for approval and adoption. City Council did hear some of the trend and some of opportunity for consideration, and so we will bring those items back to you and provide and get your direction how we proceed with it. The last goal, this is a new goal, and to maintain, build, and modernize our infrastructure to support growth and future needs of the city. over the years, we have learned, there are some challenges with our broadband. So, in the last year or two, we did work with Frontier to provide fiber optic, ideally to improve the services to our resident and also provide the opportunity for competition to lower the cost for our resident. That is the goal of our city council. So some of the items that I want to highlight include present the status of fiber optic phase 1. Again, this is the Frontier project. They have been in the community, and our public works team is doing their best to ensure that impacts to our community is limited. Due to some of the vacancy in our public works department, it has been very challenging in managing that. But every time the community brings it to our attention, our public works team is working closely with Frontier to address it. And the goal is to put our neighborhood that are being impacted by this project back to its standard, prior status, pretty much consistent to how it was before the project started. Another strategic objective includes secure property, close escrow, and initiate the request for proposal for design, explore and identify revenue sources for the Bouchard property. The city is in the process of procuring the site for a future fire station number 1. And in addition to that, as directed by City Council, we want to evaluate if there's other opportunity on the same parcel for revenue generating opportunity because our Fire Station 1 will definitely be a cost to the city, but at the same time necessary to serve our community. And the last is to present the general plan update and the EIR adoption. Our goal is by October 17th. As you know, we are having our last GPAC meeting, General Plan Advisory Committee, this coming Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. here in the council chamber. So for the public, if there's any interest in understanding where we are and where we're heading, we would definitely want to extend that invite to the community to participate. That wrap up the strategic objective. The full documentation will be available on the city website once City Council approve it. I just want to share with the community of the team that was at the strategic planning session, and our team definitely emphasized they feel like they own the city vision, mission statement, and they're excited for what to come in the city of Fountain Valley for the next few years. That concludes my presentation. If I can answer any question you may have, please let me know.
That was great, Maggie. Any questions or comments? I really enjoyed the strategic planning meeting, and I hope for the one in November we have the extended management there also. I mean, it really was great, and thank you so much for this. And Councilmember Harper?
Yeah, I think just want to thank all the participants in the strategic planning session. You took time out of your day to help plan the future of the city. Really appreciate that. I appreciate Maggie for her leadership in kind of organizing it, getting it in a good direction. And I think all the objectives are good goals for the next 6 months.
And for those watching at home, you see the dates that are on there. So these are items, too, that'll be on our city council meeting agendas, and that gives you a heads up, too, to what you can expect. And thank you again, Maggie.
On item 16, we have a motion by Mayor Constantine with a second by Councilmember Bui. Please vote. Item number 16 passes 5-0.
Okay. Councilmember item for future consideration. Do we have any items?
Yeah, I do. Sure. We sort of talked about it before, but the Gophers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Harper Park, and I know I run along behind Courageous School, and there's a lot of gopher evidence there as well. So, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Any others? City Council Successor Agency Housing Authority public comments. Do we have any public comments?
I have no other requests to speak.
Okay. Let's see here. City Council Successor Agency Housing Authority AB 123 general comments. We'll start with Councilmember Cunneen, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My activities since our last meeting included the following. On May 19th, I attended the annual Crawfish Festival opening ceremonies with my city council colleagues and city staff. Thank you to Rob Frizzell for all his hard work with the community services team and introducing me to the fine art of crawfish dining. Fun. On May 20th, I was honored to co-host with Councilmember Bui a town hall meeting with our esteemed California State Senator for the 36th District, Janet Nguyen, held at the Founders Village. For a Saturday morning event, it was pretty good turnout, and look forward to the future outreach like that. On May 23rd, I attended the Fountain Valley Rotary Club's Most Improved Student Awards. Was honored to also present certificates of achievement to those deserving students on behalf of Mayor Constantine, our city council, and staff. This is always one of our club's favorite events. On May 25th, I attended the quarterly meeting of the Orange County Library Advisory Board, where the main action was to review and approve the annual budget prior to submittal with the Orange County Board of Supervisors. On May 29th, I was honored to attend the annual Memorial Day flag raising ceremony at Veterans Park. I was especially privileged to meet Lieutenant Colonel Nicholas Whitfield, 5th Battalion, 11th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, to first thank him and his fellow Marines for serving and protecting our freedom, and to second, learn more about our special connection with those heroes who serve at Camp Pendleton and beyond. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that today is the 79th anniversary of D-Day, so we remember all of those heroes who preserved our freedom. And this morning, I attended a discussion about the Crossings area branding campaign with our consultant. And that concludes my council report, Mayor Constantine.
Thank you. Councilmember Harper.
Thank you. On Thursday, May 18th, attended the MSRC committee meeting, which is committee of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And we're very interested in providing funds for electric vehicles, zero emission, anything that reduces pollution. That same night, I attended the City Selection Committee meeting in Orange. On the 19th, attended the ribbon cutting for Memorial Care new location in Irvine. On Monday, May 22nd, OCTA board meeting. May 24th, OCTA Finance Committee meeting, and also ACCOC board meeting. And interesting, the ACCOC, part of the board meeting, one of the topics was sober living homes, and they gave us an update on what's happening with that. And there is a growing interest around California to have better regulations of sober living homes. So there's a task force, a California Sober Living Task Force that's been developed, and more to come on that. I know it's a topic of interest here in Fountain Valley. On May 25th, Thursday, Santa Ana River Flood Protection Agency meeting. As some of you may know, the northeast corner of Fountain Valley is in a floodplain, and so the flood insurance premiums there are higher than other parts of Fountain Valley, so we're trying to get that flood insurance reduced. On May 28th, Sunday, went to the Historical Society luncheon. We saw our Chief McQuaid speak there, and great job there. And then on the 29th, attended the Memorial Day ceremony in Veterans Park. On May 30th, the spring luncheon at the Senior Center. Yesterday at the OCTA Regional Transportation Committee meeting, and today attended the CalCog, California County Association of Governments, I think it is, board meeting as a representative of OCTA, and they are spend a lot of time doing monitoring legislation that's coming out of Sacramento and that affects transportation, but the theme, the overwhelming theme is climate change. So everything that's, a lot of the bills coming out of California right now, or Sacramento, are targeted towards greenhouse gas reductions at any cost. So just as a California resident, just be aware of what's coming out of Sacramento and make sure we let them know our opinions on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bui.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, before I begin, first of all, in the public, in the audience, we have the Boy Scout. And I have to say, you guys are doing an awesome job. It's over 2 hours. You guys are sitting quietly and listening to us talking, listening. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but you guys are doing a great job sitting out there and listening over 2 hours. So kudos to you guys. So on, let me double check my calendar. On 5/18, I attend the ribbon cutting for Vita Cane Juicery. On 5/19, I also attend the Crawfish Festival. On 5/20, I attend the Community Town Hall meeting updates with our Senator Janet Wing, along with our Mayor Pro Tem Glenn Grandis and Councilmember Jim Cunneen. And on 5/27, I attend the 10th anniversary ceremony to commemorate the Declaration of Peace and Cessation of War. That will conclude.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Grandis.
Okay, so just a little correction. They're just the scouts now, right? Yeah, we'll just say that. Okay, so I attended on Wednesday, May 17th, the PCTA board meeting. Thursday, May 18th, the Special Olympics kickoff event with the FEPD. They are over on Ellis and Brookhurst, showing awareness and collecting money for the Special Olympics. That same day, I attended the Fountain Valley Community Foundation board meeting and then the Fountain Valley Community Foundation volunteer meeting. On Friday, May 19th, the Crawfish Festival. On Saturday, May 20th, the Fountain Valley e-waste event, thanks to Kerry Wakely and all of the Fountain Valley Community Foundation volunteers for that. I also attended that morning the State Senator Janet Wynn Town Hall that was mentioned. And that evening, again, the Crawfish Festival. On Sunday, May 21st through Tuesday, May 23rd, the ICSC Developer Conference in Las Vegas, where Councilmember Bui was there too, and our mayor, where we met with all developers and businesses that are interested in doing business in Fountain Valley. So it's exciting stuff to come. On Wednesday, May 24th, I attended the OC San Board of Directors meeting. On Thursday, May 25th, the Fountain Valley Connect Breakfast, which you were the presenter. Did you even mention that? You forgot to. You were the presenter. And also that day, the Fountain Valley Regional Hospital Board meeting. On Wednesday, May 31st, Fountain Valley Regional Hospital Medical Executive Committee and Governing Board Member Dinner. And then on Monday, yesterday, June 5th, the Fountain Valley School District Education Foundation Board meeting. And today, the Crossing Rebranding Project meeting. And then I also want to give a shout out, if you're a golfer and you're a Baron and you're into Baron football, the Fountain Valley Barons football team is having an awesome golf tournament at Strawberry Farms. It's the most phenomenal golf course to play around here. And it's Monday, June 26th. And go to fvhsbaronsfootball.com to sign up. Go Barons.
Thank you. So I always turn in my list so I don't have to go over everything, but I attend a lot of meetings and events. I just want to say thank you again to Ryan and his team for the budget. It's really great. Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone, Maggie, with everything, the budget, strategic planning, our police, our fire. I'm so appreciated to all of our staff. I don't want to leave out anybody. I'm very appreciative of my fellow city council members. I feel like we're a very well-oiled machine, not just up here, but well, I have my shortcomings. But anyway, staff, everybody is so great. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Let's see here. The next regular meeting of the Fountain Valley City Council is June 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Fountain Valley City Council Chambers, 10200 Slater Avenue, Fountain Valley. It's 8:25, and I now adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.